Yep. All right. I'm gonna talk. You ready to talk Brickfest?
Breakfast.
No, Brickfest.
Brickfest. Oh, I was at Brickfest. Were you at Brickfest?
We'll talk about it.
Let's do Brickfest. I love it. Fastbreak
Oh, I should.
Breakfast.
Yeah, I should say that. Okay.
Fastbreak Breakfast.
I didn't even put that together. All right, here we go. All right. Welcome to Fastbreak Breakfast, NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish here once again with my buddy Chuck. I did not misspeak. Fastbreak Breakfast taking a break. Chuck and I did a thing. We went to a Brickfest. So I'm not saying breakfast. I'm saying brick. Well, wait, am I pronouncing the fest the same in both breakfast and brickfest? That's probably
the fest is the fist.
It was a Lego Brickfest.
Well, Lego wasn't a named sponsor of this event, and I think they went to great lengths to not use the word Lego in any of their.
Was it not a Lego sponsored event?
There was like a Lego vendor, like a outreach program, it felt like, where they were teaching kids how to use Lego.
There were definitely Lego stations at this thing. So let's set it all up. Yes, we're a Fast Break Breakfast NBA podcast. Yes, John Burr is missing. No idea where he is.
Completely missing. His phone's off. We're worried about you, buddy. If you hear this before we talk to you, let us know you're live.
I also password protected the meeting, so he couldn't join at the end.
He can't at the end.
Yeah. But we got to talk about Brickfest because I saw your Instagram, Chuck, and I saw you doing a thing on Instagram, and I was like, I want to be doing that thing, and I didn't even know about it, and it was you took your kid to this off-brand Lego convention, and I didn't even know it was here. I was so excited last show finding out that I believe an actual Lego branded convention was coming to Memphis, like during the NBA playoffs, and I'm like, that's just the greatest vacation of my life. But this thing was here in Nashville, so you went. I went on Sunday. I will say my first impression when I walked in, deeply underwhelmed.
Oh, completely underwhelmed.
It was very expensive.
$30 a head after fees.
Like I believe I bought something online that was like 20% off, and it was $50 for me and my kid. And I only brought one kid. I can't bring two kids at those prices.
No. And there was a VIP area where you got a badge and a lanyard.
Chuck,
and you could.
It takes a lot of discipline for you not to splurge for a VIP thing. Were you able to not do it?
My whole life is about having access. I don't need to be famous. I want to my life needs to be the recreation of the Copacabana scene in Goodfellas, where you walk in the back. That's what I want my life to be. I don't need to be famous. Let me walk into the back of places people can't walk into. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I refuse to participate in this VIP debacle. I saw the people who were wearing the lanyards. They were not very important.
They were the same as us.
They seemed normal.
Do we know what VIP got? There did not seem to be any back rooms or off limit things. I feel like if I was selling an extra VIP ticket, I would let the regulars see that there was a cooler spot they're missing out on.
You have to display the extra. Yeah. There needs to be some sort of like a booth in a club, right? Where all the normal people have to look at the people sitting on couches.
Yes.
While in the crowd, you're getting your sneakers scuffed. That's how you build that tension. This one, if you were in the VIP area, and I only noticed it as I was walking out, there's like a curtain, and the curtain behind there's like 5 people building their own Lego thing that no one else can see. And it was just like, here, go into this corner by yourself. It felt like they were in timeout and build this like, whatever you could. I couldn't see it, but they were like,
you know what they were building? I think they were building like Lego sets. Now, I've been to one other Lego convention in my life, and when I walked in the door, I was floored.
Yeah.
Jaw on the floor, just mouth agape, being like, look at these incredible creations someone has made. And they were like gigantic Lego creations. This one was in a very spacious agricultural center.
Yeah, it was like the flea market.
Very wide open flea market, concrete floor thing And they had like people had displayed sets they built that were just Lego sets you can buy at the store.
Right.
It's like, hey, look, I followed the directions and built the set. It's like, what? This cost $25 to get in.
There was some cool like displays. There was like this corner piece with all of these different. There was like a Roman philosopher. And
there were 10 displays.
Warrior.
Yeah.
And then there was one that I loved. There was somebody who it was very creative, did a Frank Lloyd Wright Star Wars mashup Lego collection where they built a Frank Lloyd Wright style architecture, but for characters in the Star Wars universe, and not like popular characters.
No,
like
it was
characters no one heard of.
I'm not sure I have this name right, but I believe the most interesting display, and this was not excessively large. It was a modest but impressive. Modest. Like, hey, you built that, and you're clearly an artist. You did a good job. I believe it was like Commander Granick from Rogue One. If Frank Lloyd Wright designed his house. And that was the most creative thing at this entire thing. It was quite creative, but I was like, this was expensive to get into. Where like my initial, repulsion and indignation, I felt like you did not patch my tire thing. Like my brain machinations were starting to be like, should I ask for a refund? Because I walked in and in 5 minutes, I like surveyed it. I'm like, there's nothing here. We got jobbed. And there was repulsion and it makes sense because whatever, you bring a bunch of kids there, but they were just like random pools of Legos. There was like a sandbox. There was
where just
like what do you call it? Like a ball pit. There was a ball pit filled with Legos, and I'm like, son, we're not swimming in that.
Just like we can't go in there. I am not allowed to risk your health for this Lego event. So my son 10 minutes in was like, Dad, can we leave? Like and he waited 5 minutes. Like he wasn't. He was like, Dad, so what? How
there were actually, so we waited around, and it turns out there were actually some like experiential things that were like kind of the draw. So like I now understand this was not like the last thing I went to where it was like, come see these incredible people and your mind's going to be blown. And there's also just going to be like there's going to be people who are paid to be here. And there's going to be regular folk who drove into 8 hours with this massive, 400,000 piece Star Wars recreation. And you're going to be like, this is insane. So they're different. So like there were actually stations where like they let you build like a Lego ruler. There was one where like me and my son worked for an hour building a giant, like with everyone else, there's this like basically a color by numbers Lego thing. You do the thing with the square. They give you like a 64 by 64 grid, and you're like supposed to put the pieces on, and then everyone puts them together, and you make this huge mosaic across the floor. Yeah. But again, we spent 90 minutes. 60 of them were just doing we were volunteering doing the labor. We're like, oh yeah, we'll help you build this thing. And I don't want to. It was truly very fun building the thing.
I had, a great time looking at some of the incredible pieces that were good. I wasn't amazed. There were a couple amazing things, but most of them were okay. And then the rest of them were possible super spreader events. And I just couldn't. I'd still have COVID like aftershocks. So
they also had this thing where you could build a Lego ruler, which was honestly pretty cool. And if you performed that task, they gave you a pencil. So I basically on Sunday bought my son a $50 pencil.
$50 pencil.
And I'm not like,
oh, and it was $5.
I don't have to penny pinch. So. Like things have gone well as far as like I lived in abject poverty for a long time. It was like, I'll just be poor. It's fine. Like I don't have to worry about like the $50 going out, but like for something I'm so excited and passionate about, which is Lego, to feel that underwhelmed with the purchase, I was like, oh my God, you guys really undershot the mark as far as like what I was just like, I thought was what I was walking into.
I'm a student and on a fixed income. This wasn't in my budget.
Not cool for John. Yeah.
He had no idea too. I like surprised him with it. He was like, I didn't even know this was here. And I was like, oh, cool. This is going to be awesome. And 5 minutes in, he was like, Dad, can we go home and watch Ocean's 11?
So that was the end of Brickfest Fist Break. I don't know if I should say that.
No, probably not.
After after this, we had to go to a birthday party on Sunday where it's apparently birthday party season. And we had to go do an outside like climbing adventure thing, which was honestly pretty amazing. It was freezing cold. My son got stuck like 40 feet off the ground. That was pretty great. But on the way, we did a thing, and I'm just leaning into all my bits. I had another Lucille Bluth moment. Like how much could this thing cost? We didn't have a lot of time. We had to go from the flea market area of Nashville to this like adventure park. Didn't have time for a lunch, and I'm like, we're getting fast food, and we don't eat fast food very much. Just doesn't happen. Like we're not. I guess turns out I am snobby about it, but I don't feel like for whatever reason, why would we ever drive past a thing and wait in line for this food, which I don't think is that great. So I got my 8-year-old a Happy Meal for the first time in his life.
Whoa.
Yeah, first time. That's and big. I ordered myself a 10-piece nugget meal, and I had how much could it cost? I had no idea. I didn't know it was $9. I was like, yeah, it's $9 to eat at McDonald's. Yeah, this is me emerging from a cave from a decade ago. Like I thought a meal deal was like $4.99 or something. No, it was $8.88, and I was like, whoa.
If you're gonna feed yourself, like actually have a meal, you are not spending less than like approximately $10. That's what used to be $5. You would go in there, $5, you'd be full. Now
here's my confusion, Chuck.
10.
And here's where I want to let everyone know I'm not a snob about the things I put in my body.
No, we know that.
I compare this to like $8.88. That's what Chipotle costs.
Right.
I thought McDonald's would be undercutting a Chipotle.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
I will say, eating McDonald's French fries in a car, driving, drinking a giant Coke. I mean, I didn't upsize the Coke. That's just what the $9 meal came with. It was delightful, and the Coke tasted exactly the same. It's just McDonald's Coke. It's its own Coke. Like that was brought back a lot of good memories. It's like, oh yeah,
it's got an extra molecule
to this. Yeah, it's got something.
It's got extra fructose.
Yeah. That wasn't my breakfast. My breakfast was actually donuts. My body is not a temple, Chuck.
No.
I will put things in here that are terrible for it. Yeah. I just hadn't been to McDonald's in 10 years.
Disgrace that temple often.
I did. Yeah.
Money tables.
What's
all the time.
Yes, I
do.
What's your breakfast, man? How's the ground beef lifestyle going?
So the ground beef experiment is over. Here's why.
Good.
I don't know if I can get enough fiber to counteract the ground beef. I've been like, there's been just a lot of effort in my bathroom lately. It isn't. I listen to my body. Let me just say that.
Yeah, it's so good.
The 3-week ground beef experiment. I put a pin in it. Now I'm just buying bags of Costco rotisserie chicken. So you could just they'll have. The Costco rotisserie chicken's $5. It's been that way forever. It's one of the, reasons why Costco.
You could buy 2 rotisserie chickens or a McDonald's meal deal.
Yes, exactly.
What in the world?
So, but they'll just take the chicken breast and they bag it, and you can buy just the breast. And that's what I'm doing now. That way I don't have to cook it. My house doesn't smell. For like 2 days. My house smells like beef after I meal prep.
Of course,
8 pounds of ground beef. So that's what I'm doing now. But this breakfast, I'm not going to talk about my chicken breakfast. It's whack. Chicken and egg whites. It's trash. On Sunday, I went to Eastwood Deli in East Nashville. It's near Rose Pepper, and it's a new deli. I guess it's been around for a while. Do you remember when I used to go to Hardee's?
Yeah, of course.
Do you remember the Hardee's fried bologna biscuit?
Yeah.
They do a bologna biscuit at Eastwood Deli, but they don't. So Hardee's does the thick cut bologna.
Okay.
They do this razor thin bologna with egg and cheese on a homemade biscuit. Oh my God. That was a transcend. And look, I had up until that point only been eating beef in the morning. So there could be some sort, and like lightly seasoned. I try not to get my sodium up because I'm throwing all this fat in my body.
Yeah.
So this thing was like salty and good and fluffy, and there was carbs in it. And oh man. So shout out Eastwood Deli and your bologna biscuit. My goodness.
That sounds incredible.
That is the biscuit of the week.
Biscuit of the week. The BOTW.
BOTW.
What? Are you gonna do that rotisserie chicken challenge? Are you gonna go 40 straight days eating a whole rotisserie chicken? Like some guy in Philadelphia I think it was Philadelphia. Did
you hear about it? So like
a little bit vaguely.
So he did it for a few days and was just like, all right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 40 days. And at the end, he felt like he was going to die. And it took him like over an hour to finish the chicken. Like,
are there any food challenges, Chuck, that don't end with you feeling like you're going to die? I remember two of my buddies back in the day had a crystal off. Who could eat the most crystal? Man. And yeah, I mean, it ended in vomit. And then the person who didn't vomit wishes they had vomited. That's
I don't like, but while I do engage in ridiculous eating.
Oh, I like a food challenge. Yeah.
I've never really done a food challenge. Maybe that's what we should do some of that this year. Me and Burr go to McGaw's and eat until somebody throws up.
I want that so bad.
That would be great.
I want to watch you guys eat 20 donuts.
The
20 donut challenge. Anyways, those were our breakfasts. A little bit lengthy this morning. After our breakfast, we moved to our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our opportunity to make right something we might have gotten wrong in a previous episode. It will be the first time we talk about the NBA, which the show is supposed to be about. Chuck, what would you like to make amends for?
My cocky Heat fandom, I'm tucking it away. I am now a timid Heat fan. I am somebody who I'm done making excuses. It feels like nobody's playing. Nobody's suiting up. We went on a road trip and just got smacked. One of my favorite games, though, of the year, I will say, was Wiz Heat this week. The Heat played 7 people.
Love those games.
Those are like kind of the fun, weird games where you're like, this is incredible. The Heat should have gotten blown out, but instead they took the game to overtime, which then ruined the rest of the road trip. They had no legs. Nobody could hit a shot against Cleveland. And then they had to play Minnesota the next night. So the last 3 games have been heartbreaking. And now I've sulked away into my Heat fan cave. I'm no longer cocky Heat fan, swinging and dinging. I am, oh my God, we may need to trade somebody like important.
You guys would have to go 43-21 to hit 50 wins, Chuck.
And
we're
at the point of the year where you're like,
not
okay,
happening.
20 games is coming. The 20 game mark is when you can kind of start seeing things as they are. And we're just not going to be a 500 ball club, which is
believe John Schumann from NBA.com always has the standings at the 20 game mark are usually the standings.
Yeah.
Like that's normally the first 20 games are demonstrate what's going to happen for the whole season and even the playoffs a lot of times. Yeah, you guys are what? You're tied for
12th.
No, I'm eyeballing this. I think you're tied for 24th in wins in the NBA.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
Right now. The Magic, Hornets, Pistons, Lakers, Spurs, and Rockets, only teams with fewer wins. The 7 players in a game. I think the reason we like that is because it resembles basketball.
Right.
It's like you're watching just guys play basketball, which is really cool. Why don't we move to more of a soccer World Cup style? What if you were only allowed to sub 3 times?
Right.
In a basketball, that sounds fun to me.
I was watching the U.S.-Wales game the other day, and I was thinking, you know how we could improve this sport that's been being played for 200 years? A shot clock. We put a shot clock in the World Cup and maybe like a backcourt violation equivalent where you can't once you pass midfield, you can't go backwards.
Oh, no over and back would be amazing.
No over and back.
Like, well, honestly, when I coached my kids' horrible soccer team the last 2 years, I basically tried to add a no over and back. I was like, listen, dudes, we only pass the ball forwards. One kid tried a back pass to our goalie. I'm like, what are you doing? What? I was like, when we're on this end, you punt, man. You just get it only forwards. Only forwards. Yeah, no, I like your ideas. Although honestly, I love the World Cup. I don't need to do any of these like we gotta fix soccer. It's boring. Like, there's nothing for me more riveting than like the only team I cheer for every 4 years being up by 1 and then just feeling sick to your stomach the whole time until disaster finally strikes. And then you're like, wow, we just really blew that. And then just being depressed. Like, that's the sport, man. And it is beautiful. It is beautiful in its simplicity with like, oh man, we certainly can't complete passes. What a fun sport where completing passes is hard.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm not trying to change soccer, and for you purists out there going, look at this American.
I'm trying to change basketball.
I think, yes, let's change basketball.
Let's add a little injury time, and let's say, listen, you can sub 3 times.
And if at the end of like regulation, we're tied, we go to like a 3-point shooting contest. Let me do that. Or half court shooting contest, like PKs.
Can we? We should talk about the half court shooting contest that was. This is one of the more unique stories, and a lot of people have talked about it on Sunday. It was incredible, where Luka Doncic has a 3-pointer overturned at the end of the first half.
A Max Strusian overturn.
I know you felt sympathetic to this, Chuck. Luka's like, my heel did not touch the out of bounds stripe. You can't show me.
They only showed it from the like bird's eye angle. Like, that's not sufficient. That's not a sufficient enough angle for me.
Yeah,
give me more. I need to see it from
why
the
don't we
sideline.
have like pressure sensors
on
those little? Don't we have tennis technology?
I think our shoes, we could easily put a sensor in the shoe.
You should spray
close a circuit.
Every NBA player should be sprayed with some kind of metallic dust that the sensors then can. Yeah, a little nanotech. Yes. Get rid of the referees. We can do this through. No, I'm kidding. They overturned Luka's 3-pointer, and they also said, yeah, he stepped out of bounds, and there's time left on the clock. So then after halftime, they brought everybody back out, like, hey, you got 2 seconds left. And the Nuggets just let Vlatko Čančar, just meant take a whack at it. Apparently he's their half-court specialist. Take a whack at it, and he nails it. 6-point swing, and the Mavericks lose again.
By 1.
Yeah, they lose by 1. I'm enjoying the Mavericks struggling, but
small struggles.
They're in my division. My apology. I got a few things I guess I could hit. One, I keep butchering Devin Vassell's name, and it's one of those things where when I say it wrong, I realize I said it wrong, but then I say it wrong so frequently. I don't know what the problem is.
I did that with Goran Dragic for 5
It's not
years.
Vassell.
It's not
lords and vassals and serfs. No, it's Devin Vassell.
Yeah.
I also realize I say Nikola Jokic's name wrong more than I say it correctly. It's not Nikola Jokic, it's Nikola Jokic.
Nikola.
Like my favorite guy, one of my favorite NBA players. I should do better. I resolve to do better. Also, I don't normally do like the prediction thing is my apology or like the player evaluation thing, but I would like to highlight one guy who, when people asked me about him a couple times after summer league games, I was like, I don't know what his thing is. I don't know why he's here. And this guy got traded, and I was like, yeah, who cares? What's he going to do? Be good. Talking about Bol Bol.
God.
Bol Bol's a thing.
He's so fun. He's like if you shrunk Victor Wembanyama 4 inches.
Not even 4. He's basically
like 2.
He's basically Wembanyama size. He's a more filled out Wembanyama.
Right. He's Wembanyama with protein shakes.
I know you've seen some of these Wembanyama clips. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like an adult playing pool basketball against children. Where like the ball's kind of small in his hand, or like even playing like a 7-foot goal with a bunch of kids. And you're like, listen, I can dunk whenever I want to. Also, this ball's kind of too hard to palm, or it's kind of too hard to shoot like normally because it's small. I'm just palming it and throwing it around everywhere. I'm just gonna shoot a weird one-legged thing, and I'm probably gonna make it because like the goal's 7 feet or 8 feet, and it's gonna go in. That's what Wembanyama's doing. He's doing these like He's like, he just took a floater from like 35 feet. We're like, he just picked the ball up, and the way he shoots it, like he's playing on a Nerf hoop. He's doing Nerf hoop basketball shots.
But I want to go back to Bol Bol.
No, I didn't want. Yeah, I don't want to go too far.
What's insane about Bol Bol is that like he's really great, but there's so many good. Orlando sucks, but they have so many good big men. Like not good, but like reasonably talented. But yeah, they got the rookie of the year. Paolo Banchero is the rookie of the year. Like probably gonna run away with it.
My boy Ben Mathurin. More on Mathurin in a second. Yeah,
Ben Matherin's fun. Wendell Carter's great, and Mo Bamba is even like when he plays, it's like his stats are good. Yeah. So like, it seems like Bol Bol needs to go to his fifth team, somewhere that's going to appreciate.
I don't think the Magic are going to let him go.
I wouldn't for sure. But like, I guess you could trade one of the big men for. I mean, like
we were all surprised when they kept Mo Bamba around a little bit. We thought maybe his time was done. But Bol Bol is averaging 13 points per game and 2 blocks per game.
Yeah.
He's actually hitting 42% of his threes. He's over 60% from the field overall. 8 rebounds. The guy has been kind of remarkable and a revelation. And the fact that they're like, oh yeah, we have Franz Wagner and Wendell Carter. Yeah. And Banchero. Yeah, let's just play them all. Let's just put them all at the 2. Because like the Nuggets did this in the bubble back in the day. They literally started him basically a point guard.
Yeah.
Where the Nuggets were the only team that treated the bubble like the farce that it was. They're like, it's like a preseason game. Bol Bol's our point guard. That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bol Bol has been awesome this year. And like kind of a I don't know, like a stunning development that he's gotten to be so good. So I apologize for not having the vision to see that this guy was a thing. I knew RJ Hampton was bad. I also thought Bol Bol was bad. And so I thought that was just a great trade for the Nuggets where they swindled the Magic to get Aaron Gordon. But no, Bol Bol has been quite good.
Incredible.
Anyways, before we get to our steak and eggs best thing, we got a word from our sponsor, the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have 6-game holiday packs that will be for sale this weekend. They got the Holly Pack and the Jolly Pack. Also on Cyber Monday, starting at 9:01 a.m. Central, the Grizzlies will be having a big sale on December home games. That sale is available only at Grizzlies.com. You can get the 6-game Holly and Jolly Packs by calling 901-888-HOOP or clicking Grizzlies.com. All right, steak and eggs best thing. What's the best thing? What's the best thing you saw in the last week, Chuck?
So the Sacramento Kings have won 6 games in a row.
Beam team!
6-1 since they implemented their victory beam, which is incredible. I only have one note. I think when the victory beam is brought out, the fans are now saying light the beam or fire the beam or something. The fans should be chanting,
beam, right?
Light the beam. Yeah. What they should be chanting is beam me up, Scotty. And then Scott Pollard descends from the rafters and hits a button. And that's my only note. I love the beam. I love the Kings. They're doing great. They had the player of the week in De'Aaron Fox. They traded away the player of the week in the Eastern Conference.
That part's incredible. We gotta recognize Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox both winning player of the week for last week.
Incredible. They're succeeding despite being bumbling front office fools. So good for them. I still reserve the right to be completely skeptical of the Kings just historically. I'm not saying that they're the real deal, but they're fun right now. And they have a kitschy hook that makes me feel like we're in a reverse Independence Day. I don't know.
The beam is very reminiscent of Independence Day. My main question for the beam is, do planes and things fly over the city? Like, maybe they don't, but like,
who flies to Sacramento?
Do they have to alert the FAA to be like, hey, we might let a giant beacon into the night?
Right.
I don't. Maybe planes don't care about bright light, but it looks like that thing goes pretty high. Maybe it's not 30,000 feet high, but like maybe are there news helicopters where like all of a sudden it's just like you're in the beam,
right?
Like, can you see?
I do think it would be amazing.
You go to a different dimension.
If this beam is like the reason we make like contact with extraterrestrial life forms, like this. So we've been sending radio signals out into space for decades, but this one thing we just hit the right note, and there's some like alien species that's coming down to teach us how to use oxygen.
They've mastered flashlight technology.
Yes, that's it.
And they're
faster than flashlight technology. Yeah.
The Pacers and the Kings each have the longest win streaks in the NBA. The Pacers have the a 119 offensive rating. They play the Grizzlies actually on Tuesday night. Tonight, the Grizzlies might get Ja Morant back. He's been upgraded from doubtful to questionable, which was a last second thing they just did. The Grizzlies, when Ja Morant and Desmond Bane don't play, have a 103 offensive rating. So it could be a little mismatch of styles / abilities when those two teams face off. No, the Pacers super fun. So they get Halliburton. They win 5 in a row, which again is very, very surprising. Although it does seem like they get to play bowl every other game. Like how many times have the Pacers and Magic played? Because it feels like it feels like a lot.
That Pacer Magic game was fun. And like, I can't believe I said that out loud.
All the Pacers games are pretty fun. Like, Halliburton is incredible. I saw Tom Haberstroh was like comparing the age 23 seasons of Chris Paul and Halliburton. They're virtually identical. I mean, Halliburton averaging 20 and 10. But Benedict Mathurin, who I'm enamored with, here's your real odd stat.
He's like a diet Ant Edwards to me. Like he's like explosive, but can shoot, can handle the ball. I'm not sure if he can play defense yet, but I like watching Ben Mathurin play. And I always love a 0-0.
So Ben Mathurin, and this is from Justin Kubatko, who is one of the guys who runs StatHead I believe started or worked a lot with Basketball Reference, creator of Basketball Reference. Ben Mathurin is the first player in NBA history to amass at least 40 3-pointers and 80 free throws through his first 16 career games.
Wow.
Doing it all while coming off the bench. Nothing he does will become a starter. Also, this was funny. I saw Mr. Kubatko, who created Basketball Reference, get in an online fight with Basketball Reference Twitter account, which was like when I guess you watch your parents fight. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was a lot where I'm like, the creator of Basketball Reference is now correcting the Basketball Reference. Maybe fight strong, but there was a correction. He's like, well, actually, the stat you posted is not exactly completely correct. My best thing. It is a lot of. I am real enamored with the Pacers and the Kings, but I think I will go with my guy D'Anthony Melton, who maybe this could be a worse thing. I'll call it a best thing. While the Grizzlies flounder, not having any depth whatsoever in their backcourt, my guy Melton became the first player in the last 4 seasons to have multiple games with 5 or more made threes, 5 or more steals, and 5 or more assists. So Melton getting the opportunity to spread his wings a little bit. I enjoyed it. He did miss a possible game-winning layup. Listen, we can't all be perfect.
I do love that your grieving process and your trauma response is to go to the NBA stats page. Like that feels.
It was almost an Apex Melton moment. They're playing. Was it the Bucks? Wait, I can't even remember.
I think it was the Bucks game.
They're playing this Bucks team. They're shorthanded. They're not playing well, and all of a sudden things start happening. Melton things start happening. He starts making threes. He checks in, and in 10 seconds, he gets a steal, he gets an assist, and then he blocks his shot, starts another break, And then like he's making he starts hitting these jumpers, and I'm like, this is full Melton.
Mm-hmm.
And he hits his pull up three with like 20 seconds left, and then steals the ball 5 seconds later, and I'm like, it's peak. I almost died. And then he like lost control going up for a lefty layup and missed it, and it was it came crashing back down to earth. It's like, well, it's so close to doing something amazing, but it filled me with joy. And then like Ja Morant retweeted my tweet about, and it's just like
with a blue heart.
I got a lot of feelings. Ja Morant quote tweeted with a my guy blue heart. I believe he was talking about me.
Yeah, it was Keith. That was actually Keith.
I get the notification and it's like my guy heart. I'm like, oh, then, thanks, Ja.
Thanks, Ja. Ja, amazing.
Makes me feel really good. Those were our best things. The opposite of our steak and eggs best things, our cream of wheat worst thing. What's the worst thing you saw in the last week?
So I've done extensive research. We were talking about the Bucks Sixers. After the Bucks Sixers game, Giannis decides to do the performative practice, the Kobe Bryant Memorial performative practice after the game, right? Where he like shows up, he's like, I missed 9 free throws, so it's time to do free throws. And for some reason, Montrezl Harrell was out there, maybe meeting his weed connect. I don't know why he was on the court after the game. Who knows? But he was there policing. Montrez was there policing what Giannis was doing. He steals the ball from Giannis. Giannis then goes into the locker room, grabs the ball himself, comes back outside. And at this point, Montrez's recruited staff members from the Philadelphia Sixers organization to interfere with Giannis's free throw routine after the game. And somebody puts a large ladder in front of the goal that that Giannis was trying to practice in. And Giannis, being frustrated, not getting the deference that a superstar gets, was, I'm not saying he was goated, but the situation, causes and events, led to his pushing of a large ladder.
It's like it's exactly like when Kyle Lowry on defense saddles up next to a guy and then baits him into knocking him over. Yeah, Giannis got baited. Giannis took the bait, frustratingly through the ladder. Although I will say, Chuck, and maybe I'm getting this wrong, much like I got wrong who Milton was playing. That game was against the Timberwolves, where the Sixers.
That's right.
But it was the game before, or by the way, Milton hit a big go-ahead three-pointer for the Sixers to beat Giannis and the Bucks. But this Laddergate story, much like many TMZ reports of like who's dating who, I couldn't bear to click on it or even follow what was going on. Like, I'm like, all right, this is the ESPN like top of our halftime report, what we're going to talk about, or like the pregame show. Like, this storyline interests me zero. Like, did someone get hurt? Did someone get pushed?
I just think it's like important when there's an event like this to give full context, because the first clip was just Giannis. Like, it seemed like Giannis was being mean to probably a guy that makes, an average wage working for the Sixers organization or for the arena. He may not even work for the Sixers. Yeah. And like bullying him and pushing him out of the way. But like, there was a lot of precipitating events, right? There was a bad game. There was Montrezl Harrell being kind of a jerk, and an assistant coach for the Sixers being jerky to him. There was some jerk stuff happening to Giannis. Yeah. And then the one moment of Giannis being a human, right, where he was like, hey, all these people are being unreasonable. Why are you being unreasonable? He gets caught, and then everybody goes, look at him. It's like in the NFL when the referee, it's the punch that the referee sees, or the
second punch always gets penalized.
The second punch. Yeah. And that's what Giannis is, by all accounts, people have literally written books about how great of a human being he is.
Yeah. So people are like, man, if so-and-so had done that, like if like Embiid had done that, or if Montrezl Harrell had done that, or if like, man, can you imagine if Like
James Harden did that.
Markieff Morris did that,
Right.
or Boogie Cousins. It's like, well, you recognize how these things aren't the same.
These aren't the same people.
These aren't the same people. We don't have to compare all people. Like,
right.
if Montrezl Harrell did that, Montrezl Harrell has a felony arrest. Like,
right.
maybe he should be allowed to drive through Kentucky with as much weed as he wants. Maybe that's a different argument.
Where it's a whole different argument.
The Morris brothers have lots of technical fouls to their name. Giannis has a movie made about him, about how sweet he is. Okay, exactly. maybe you can say you're eating up too much of the pro Giannis propaganda. I think Giannis, generally sweet individual, no off-court issues one time. Not like Embiid in this game, like basically flagrant 2'd Giannis.
Oh my God, he got
his shoulder to the gut, like, and things are not the same.
And also, like, once then I saw the video of Montrezl Harrell barking at Thanasis, basically telling him he's gonna beat him up, and Thanasis was just like, "Hey, we just would like some courtesy here." Like, people were being very reasonable, and it made sense what was going on. Giannis was set up. It was a bad look. The clip itself is a bad look, but I'm giving Giannis the benefit of the doubt. Ladder gate's nothing, and I'll stick with it.
My worst thing continues to be the travesty of last 2-minute reports. In a game where Klay Thompson hit 10 3-pointers, had, I believe, 41 points. In a game where Steph, it was the 5th game ever for a player having 30 or more points, 15 or more assists, and 7 made threes. All of that for the Warriors to get their first road win of the season.
Big one.
And on top of it, the last 2-minute report says before Steph's final dagger 3-pointer, he committed an offensive foul and traveled. What good of what use is this information? No. How many times will the last 2-minute report say, hey, the Warriors, they got a friendly whistle again. Our bad.
Yeah. I think the only way to really remedy or to use it as a way that could, like, make people feel better is if those events in the last 2-minute reports change payouts in Vegas, right? Like, that adjusts if a shot goes in that was called out and it was actually a shot that should have been made, it adjusts the final score, and plus minuses are affected, and because then you'll see protests in the streets. Then you'll see people showing up to the NBA office going, DraftKings took my money because of you. Why can't we fix this problem?
I mean, they're not doing it. I mean, we have the injury reports that aren't accurate.
Right.
Where people are betting on the games. And you're getting all kinds of these weird things. I don't know. Like, did the Warriors cover? I don't actually even know.
I don't know. The only part of that game that was memorable to me was one of the Rockets assistants when Steph hit that shot.
Yeah.
Just like behaved like I do when I'm watching basketball at home. Like, he threw his head back. There was zero stoicism involved. He was completely in his feelings. And that's how a lot of people feel when you play Steph Curry.
It was when Nashville Soccer Club's Walker Zimmerman committed a penalty on.
That was
Gareth
I
Bale.
mean, I watched the World. We'll go to World Cup again for a second. I watched the World Cup game at the NSC Stadium.
Oh no!
And I watched our NSC player commit a penalty box foul.
Oh man!
And all NSC has done is tied. Like, I've been to so many games that we've drawn like 90% of them.
Yeah.
So for a draw to occur because of NSC player while I'm at Geodis Stadium, it all just felt poetic. It's sad poetry, like I don't know,
Keats
poem.
I don't know.
Keats, Sylvia Plath. Man,
when I had to come up with a single name for sad poem, you don't know, my brain was just like that whiteboard in Arrival. Just like nothing, like I can think of one word.
I got no schema to fill that. Yeah. We did pretty good though.
Yeah, we did pretty good. We actually right now have a bonus cream of wheat. Actually, it's a different segment. It's been years, but it is now time for my wife Abby to join us for her segment, which is called Crepes of Wrath. the genesis of this segment was her just expressing. She actually created a list on her Gmail of things she hated about the NBA, which might just be a product of living with someone who watched a lot of it. That was before I did this quote unquote professionally. Anyways, Abby, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Hey, Abby.
We've been better.
Hey,
Do you have something that you wanted to complain about, or do you just want to do something that's we're in our worst things segment?
Oh, that's funny. Well, my worst thing is just what's happening to poor LeBron, who I love. I don't really understand the situation. So I'm forced to watch all this NBA. And so I see him and he's there. And
you're forced to be near the NBA. You're definitely not forced to watch. I don't feel like you actually watch, but you do observe. Yes. It's prevalent around the home. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I mean, that's totally fair. I am adjacent to the NBA for numerous hours a day. So, and I see that LeBron has on his team 2 people I recognize by name, which means they must be kind of famous. One being Anthony Davis, who I affectionately refer to as the Flying V because his eyebrows make this lovely V. And I watched the Mighty Ducks a lot in the 90s, so I'm aware of the value of the Flying V to sports broadly. So the Flying V is on his team. And also, Russell Westbrook's on his team. And I know he's famous because I've seen his wife on the Pioneer Woman making a Oklahoma Thunder blue themed cocktail. So I know people are famous.
Well, Russell Westbrook now.
Like, why can't they make some magic happen?
Yeah.
Fill me in.
Well,
can I?
Yeah, go, Chuck, please.
To use the Mighty Ducks reference, right? Russell Westbrook only shoots knuckle pucks, but in the wrong direction usually. So like there is it's completely random. You don't know where it's going to end up. And that's a lot of the problem is Russell Westbrook can't shoot.
That helps
he's really good, but he can't shoot.
When Westbrook's wife was on the Pioneer Woman, that was several teams ago. Which is important to note.
I think he's been around
a lot since then. What are we at? 4? That was 4 teams ago, or so. Yeah. So the Lakers are bad, and I guess you just want to know why are they bad with so many. If they have a LeBron, if they have an Anthony Davis and a Russell Westbrook, I mean, it's a fair question. It feels like you should be able to connect the dots around those guys to form a beautiful picture, make a very good team.
Well, and I know, casting my mind back, that it did take LeBron and D Wade like a season or 2 to figure out how to jam together. So I do understand this sort of basketball concept that you can't just throw great guys together and expect them to instantly make magic. But there's 3 of them.
2 MVPs and 1 like all-time maybe top 75 player. So that's arguable now. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
They I'll say one important facet is they are shadow run by LeBron James himself, and he is terrible.
He's really bad at
being a GM.
Talent acquisition.
Most of their players
tries to be the Peyton Manning of basketball, is what you're telling me.
Wow.
Didn't Peyton Manning like to call all his own plays?
So it's not the calling the plays is the problem. It's more if Peyton Manning is like, hey, I own this sports agency and I only want people on the Colts who were in my fraternity at UT. And that's the Lakers are filling their roster with guys who are borderline NBA players, but happen to be signed to an agency that LeBron's childhood best friend owns. So it's like, oh, why is this guy on the Lakers? Oh, he's represented by Clutch. So they haven't really filled out the roster that great. Also, they're all very old.
We're in the tail end of both Russell Westbrook and LeBron James's greatness. Some would say Russell Westbrook's greatness ended a couple seasons ago. But yes, there's a lot of
Russell Westbrook, by the way, has moved to the bench and is doing well. And by the way, does he still? You
mean like he's cheering really hard while the other guys play, or is there a difference meaning he's doing well on the bench?
He's
no longer
anymore.
Starting.
There was a long time this season where Russell Westbrook had the best 3-point percentage on the team. which is both a sad thing for the Lakers, but also a get off Russ's back, you guys. Another twist is LeBron hasn't been playing recently, and they're playing well. And Austin Reeves is playing very, very well, and Anthony Davis has regained some of his old form. So I don't. The story still hasn't been written, but
he's averaged like over 15 rebounds and 30 points over the past 5 games. They've won 3 in a row. So they're not, they're
also
figuring it out, but without LeBron, and then they'll have to figure out with LeBron, which may cause more problems.
Also, one thing about the Lakers' recent success where they won 3 straight, it is the most unfair in their favor schedule you could ever concoct. They played 3 games over the span of 8 days, and I believe every opponent was on the second night of a back-to-back.
Yep.
Which is just like, how is this possible? Is this something we talked about in the preseason, that when you look at the Lakers back-to-backs, all these teams now, you play these sets in like LA and in Miami, and for whatever reason, teams like the Nets have to play 2 games in a row in Los Angeles. They play their first one against the good team, the Clippers, and then the second one on the second night of the back-to-back against the Lakers. How is it always the Lakers getting the benefit of this second night of a back-to-back?
Sounds like you're talking about double headers.
Abby and I have a big thing where she's like, "Oh, they're playing the Jazz again. Is this a doubleheader?" And I'm like, "No, doubleheaders are on the same day.
Those
this is not it.
Only in baseball.
We might a little peek inside our relationship. She sometimes uses the word trade when she means wave, and she doesn't like it when I correct her.
Sometimes I figure out that I'm saying the wrong word, and then I just cling to it more fervently because of the annoyance that I can tell it's created.
I love to make Keith upset with not knowing things. It's one of my roles here in the show.
It's one of Chuck's strengths. No, one of the. So Abby, we'll wrap up your section with this. I will say, Abby, in a game I was not forcing her to watch, but it was near her. She watched our Memphis Grizzlies for the first time in a while. I feel like she hadn't seen them a lot this season, and she said,
"Wait, what? I'd seen them a lot. I hadn't paid attention to them."
Yeah, okay. This is the first time you were like, I feel like actively looking at the screen, watching the game, and you said, "Who are all these bench guys?" And I said, "Those are our starters."
So Santi Aldama.
Yeah, there was some Conchars and some Aldamas.
Now I know Pawn Shark.
Conshark.
She calls him Pawn Shark. She calls him Pawn Shark, and then she's like, "Why don't you call him Pawn Shark on your show?" And I said, "Because Pawn Shark's not a term. That doesn't mean anything."
It sounds like it should be, though.
It should be. It should be somebody who.
It should be a show on HGTV. I grant you that, but it's not.
You're only pawning sharks.
Could I ask a listener question?
Yeah, we're about to do the croissant questions, the listener questions. So as the all-time greatest patron of the show, you may ask your patron question.
So I guess listener question is a little bit of a misnomer because I don't actually listen. But
neither do I.
I am curious, when have you guys talked recently, Keith? I'm curious who is blooming into your favorite Grizzly this season, and then Chuck, I don't know if you want to share either your favorite Grizzly or somebody else that you're really enjoying watching.
We just talked about Bol.
I love Bol.
Abby, pretty aware of Bol.
I love Manute Bol, and so then when Bol came on the scene, and so first off, when I saw him, I knew he was related to Manute Bol, and of course I cheered for him.
What were your clues, Abby?
Was it the giant human?
I said, what were your clues?
That he looks exactly like him and is a giant.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Abby, you've been asking me both now off air and on air who my favorite Grizzlies player is. It's something I've wrestled with a lot on Grits and Grinds. I still don't have one. I'm in a weird, no one, it might be Kenneth Lofton Jr., but they don't let him play. I don't really have a favorite Grizzly. It's very, very odd. Abby says that based on my behavior, she thinks it's Desmond Bane based on how much I talk. And like Desmond Bane's awesome. But I still don't like.
There's no Melton.
This is where I've always been weird, where my favorite player was like, I just am ecstatic the whole time that guy's on the court. Like, I want that guy to be on the court. And like, obviously, I guess I'd want Bane to be on the court over anybody else on the team. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't feel like I have a favorite player still on this Grizzlies squad. It's kind of weird.
My favorite player, weirdly, is Max Strus. Like, I love watching him play. He's a guard for the Heat, and he has basically stolen every expensive player's job. And he was an unsigned guy from, the G League to the NBA, and he's a good underdog story. But he, I don't think the regular, most NBA fans know who he was, but a casual fan has no idea that he's might be the Heat's best player with Jimmy Butler out. I
will say
I do love Jimmy Butler.
Abby's real into Jimmy Butler.
My girlfriend's really into him too. There's nothing wrong with him. He's amazing.
That's right. I think the guy I've gotten the more affectionate towards this season is someone I already liked, but he joined one of my secondary squads, and it's Bruce Brown of the Nuggets. Like when I watch the Nuggets, whenever Bruce Brown's off the court, I'm like, man, when are they gonna put my guy back in? And then when he's in, I'm like, he's so good. So like, my Bruce Brown infatuation is really soared this year. I assumed it would, like I predicted it would, because I liked him last year on the Nets, and now he's joining a team I really enjoy. So I guess Bruce Brown would be my answer there.
Do you feel unfaithful to your zombie when you have those emotions?
She calls the Nikola Jokic the zombie. No, I don't. I feel like it's all interconnected.
We all
are there multiple players on the Nuggets I like more than all Grizzlies players? Yes, there are. You
don't count Ja, right? Because Ja is like
he's a superstar, but like for whatever reason, I don't feel the connection of like this is my favorite player. I mean, he's obviously awesome, and it's my favorite team. I cheer for him. When he does amazing things, I get giddy like with excitement.
He's incredible.
It feels weird.
I do wonder if that's some sort of like the NBA. And the statistic probability that a superstar staying in a small market like Memphis is low their whole career. Like it's not.
No one's ever left Memphis, so I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
No, that has no bearing on it. Actually,
you think maybe this is like preemptive? Like you might get your heart broken, so you're not getting too attached.
No,
there's some subconscious work happening here.
No, I don't think so. I've never liked one of the best players in the NBA as my favorite player.
Yeah,
ever. Like when I was a child and I watched the Detroit Pistons. Like my favorite player was Dennis Rodman.
Lindsey Hunter.
No, it was Dennis Rodman. Like it's always been the weird. It's always been the weird like dudes who've been my favorite. Abby, you're making faces. Yeah. What do you want to say? What do you want to weigh in on?
I was led to believe that both Gasol brothers in their heyday, who I would identify as some of your favorite players, were some of the best guys at their position in the league. Am I wrong?
Marc Gasol is the correct pushback to that. I did not. So when the Pau Gasol years, my favorite player on those teams was never Pau Gasol. It would be like Jason Williams or James Posey or Mike Miller. I didn't really feel the connection with Pau Gasol. Marc Gasol, yeah, that guy, first team All NBA, started an All-Star game. Marc Gasol was definitely my favorite player, but like the fact that he became those things, I still find stunning because he was not a score first player. Like he was a defensive guy, make his team better sort of thing. Anyways,
you guys
Abby,
probably have better things to talk about, but can I share my favorite Grizzlies real fast?
Please. Who are your favorite Grizzlies? Is this current or all time?
Oh, current.
Okay.
All time. I don't even know. I'd have to sit for a while. So some guys that I currently like, I just really like Tillman Sr. because he just seems like a real nice guy.
It's not. He's gorgeous.
He's amazing.
Xavier Tillman Sr. might be the most handsome guy in the NBA.
Tillman Sr. is
not for you. Everyone I know, we text about how good looking Xavier Tillman Sr. is.
I saw him in person. He's stunning.
Chuck got to be around him in person. I'm so jealous.
He's a beautiful family man.
The family man. I like the family man.
The family man stuff. I'm always drawn to that. And he's just has a gentle energy and
the gentlest of energies, the kindest eyes.
I love it.
Who else do you like, Abby?
I'm a really big fan of Brandon Clark's between season makeover. I think he's looking great, and I get pretty pumped when he's on the court.
Was it the hair? Do you like the way the hair? Okay, I get it.
I do love his hair.
There is that weird, like, I love long dreads, but like you have to go through an awkward dread phase where they're kind of short that I'm not.
You mean the phase that John Morant intentionally lives in?
He's not good. Yes. I guess you're right. John's getting longer, though.
I think Brandon Clark actually might be my favorite Grizzlies player. You know, I'm doing some soul searching. I think he might be my one.
My first Brandon Clark memory is the Grizzlies drafting him and Keith sprinting around a bar going, "They're gonna get Brandon Clark. They're gonna get Brandon Clark." That was my first who's Brandon Clark, and
only guy I knew in the whole draft. Cole Zwicker, who now works for the Rockets, told me Brandon Clark was one of his favorite guys in the entire draft, and the Grizzlies got him at like 21. It was incredible. Abby, have we done all your favorite players? Did you have any more?
That's all.
We did it. Well, thank you very much, Abby. Hopefully,
thanks, Abby.
Grapes of Wrath will become a more frequent addition to the show. Enjoy your contributions. Anyways, those were our worst things. Before we get to the awards segment of the program, we have a single listener submitted question. The croissant questioner. Terrell Mallard asks, and this is going back to our little bit of our Lakers talk we had with Abby. And this is a very specific question. I don't know the purpose of it, but I'm going to ask it anyway to honor our patron who has submitted this question. Who wins in a 7-game series, this year's Lakers squad or the 2016-17 Knicks super team featuring Carmelo Anthony, Derrick Rose, and Kristaps Porzingis? Now, as a refresher, Chuck, that Knicks team went 31-51, was coached by Jeff Hornacek. Squad assembled by Phil Jackson, we were led to believe. Also, Courtney Lee was on that team, Joakim Noah, Brandon Jennings, Ron Baker, the girlfriend taker.
Ron Baker, girlfriend taker.
Which team was better, that 31-win Knicks team or this current kind of sad, but maybe turning a corner because the schedule is so easy Lakers team?
Man, there's a lot of parallels, right? Like
there are.
I mean, Porzingis isn't as good as Anthony Davis, but is kind of like that dual threat big man.
Yep.
You got a maybe washed superstar who doesn't really know they're washed yet in Carmelo. You got Derrick Rose, and look, the parallels are beautiful. Terrell, what a wonderful way to compare these two.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook, there's parallels there. This was before Derrick Rose really figured out how to become a role player and still thought he was like the man. So, yeah, I think this is a perfect comparison. Obviously, that team, maybe Carmelo is a lot worse. That Carmelo is a lot worse.
32-year-old Carmelo worse than
38-year-old LeBron.
38 LeBron. Okay.
Yeah.
Current Anthony Davis is better than Porzingis. Although this was the beginning of like, is Porzingis the future of the NBA sort of thing? Like a lot of optimism for him. This was year 2 for him. This team had Justin Holiday. I don't remember this at all.
Yeah. I think what the real parallels are is hype for the market, right? Like when you have names and you're in a large market, there are expectations. And I think the expectations for the Lakers are buried them. I think having Russell Westbrook put them in a place where people like, that's a former MVP playing with LeBron and AD. That has to work. And it doesn't take into account that the lineups just don't work with those guys because there's not as, the shooting's a mess and there's defensive issues. So like, I think the real parallel is that the pressure both of those franchises and those teams face due to the markets they were in.
Another huge parallel I believe you're overlooking is both teams were actually assembled by Phil Jackson. We just the current Lakers more of a secret of him texting.
He's just texting
Jeannie Buss.
And
like, I think Lonnie Walker.
Yeah, we need Lonnie Walker.
Let's see, Lonnie Walker is the Mindaugas Kuzminskis. Now let's see, who is the Austin Reeves? We have to go white to white comparison with Ron Baker, but Austin Reeves actually way more important to this current Lakers squad. I think I'm going to take this year's Lakers in a 7-game series, winning in 7. Very, very close.
And each game is decided by a basket. None of the games pass 100 points.
Oh, of
they're
course
all
not.
like 97 to 93. Like
with like a 72 to 68 sprinkled in. That's a great.
Really
it's a great question. I have my own question. I was thinking about this when we were talking about the soccer subs. This is from Keith. My question, Chuck: why do we still have foul outs? Why does the NBA have foul outs?
It feels.
Why
like
do players get fouled out? I don't understand. Like, the punishment is the foul. The punishment is the other team shoots. The other team shoots free throws.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Yeah. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't affect. I mean, because they do that in Summer League, right? You can't foul out in Summer League.
Well, you got 10 fouls in Summer League, 10. and then it's a technical foul if you commit another one. Like, why don't we just do like?
I like that. That like
if referees weren't worried, this would take something else off the referee's plate. Maybe they get the last 2 minutes a little more accurate.
Yeah,
because like they do internalize like this is Jaren Jackson Jr. has 5 fouls, or Luka Doncic has 5 fouls. Let's make this last one. Let's make it count. Let's not call him for a dumb one. But like, why
it has to be a real foul? Yeah, nothing.
What's the point? What's the point of like?
Man, that's a great question.
Why do we have foul outs?
I guess the point is to like ensure it doesn't become a brawl. Like, you disincentivize.
But you already have
plays.
The whistles. You already have the free throws. You get the penalty earlier if you commit fouls. I mean, like there's already a punishment for committing fouls. I don't know why it has to be like, oh, it's kind of a rough call, 50-50 call, goes against whoever. Devin Booker, and now the Suns are all without Devin Booker for the rest of the half. Like, who cares? Like, why do we have foul outs? It's an entertainment league, Chuck. You tell me it's entertainment. If you want Steph Curry gets in foul trouble, like, why do we foul out? I don't get it.
I think more importantly, there should be, I think you've been like banging this drum for years. Why take a really good player out if they're in foul trouble?
Not even that. Why take this is where I go nuts on Taylor Jenkins and the Grizzlies. Why take out a not really good player if he gets in foul trouble?
Right. Or why take out a player?
If your eighth man, if Brandon Clark gets in foul trouble, why'd you pull him out?
Yeah.
What are the odds he fouls out? Like almost none. And if he does foul out, put your starter back in.
That's what you were doing anyway.
Yeah.
I watched the Heat play the Raptors, and Fred VanVleet had like 5 fouls in the third quarter.
I love that.
And Nick Nurse just kept him in, and it didn't affect the game. And it may have affected the way VanVleet.
Like, maybe he plays worse defense because he's concerned about committing a foul, but
like it did, the Raptors still beat us. So it was. I do think there's a lot of weird, superstition around fouls and coaching and like accepted like behavior when it comes to pulling players.
It was handed down to us from previous generations.
Right, and we've never looked at it and went, why are we doing this? Why are we taking a good player off the court because of something
you guys went into the office to work?
Right.
What?
I can't believe. Yes, that
you wasted an hour driving each way.
Yeah.
Just to do your work.
True. Yeah.
Anyways, if you have a question you want answered on air or as part of our Millennial Brunch monthly Zoom hangout, which we will do next week after Thanksgiving, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Also, you can join our Slack channel for just $3 a month and talk about basketball, movies, parenting, whatever else you want. Legos. You can do it around the clock. Support the show, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. It's now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes. We have a powerful week for the International Stackhouse of Pancakes. A week where going 2 for 13 or 6 for 20 doesn't get you close. You know, 5 for 18s aren't even honorable mentions this week. Boys were putting up some junk.
Good ones.
Horrible shooting numbers. Tim Hardaway Jr., Al Horford 0 for 9. Honorable mention. Can't even crack it. The rest of the honorable mentions, Jalen Brunson and Jeremy Grant, 2 for 13. Damian Lillard, 2 for 14. 2 for 14 on the honorable mention list.
Hey now.
Buddy Hield, 3 for 15. Porzingis, 4 for 19. John Morant, 5 for 20. Dylan Brooks and Jonathan Kuminga, he might be bad, 6 for 20. Your boy, your favorite player, Max Strus, dropped a 7 for 23. Holy Tyler Hero, Chuck.
Got to put up shots.
Our 3 nominees in this hotly contested iShop week, as they occurred, these guys did some truly special work in the past 7 days. As they occurred chronologically through the last 7 days, first of all was Spencer Dinwiddie and a loss to the Rockets. Dinwiddie was 3 for 18, had 9 points, 10 assists. That's pretty good. 2 rebounds, 2 steals, no turnovers, no personal fouls. Perhaps try on defense, maybe commit a foul, like your little effort. All right,
pretend like you can't foul out.
And then Zach LaVine, who got benched in this game. That's not that's not in the box score. But Zach LaVine in a loss to Bol in the Magic, he was 1 for 14.
Hey, now.
Which is tied for our biggest 1 for game of the season. 1 for 14, 4 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 0 personal fouls. Perhaps try, Zach.
Come on.
Maybe you wouldn't have gotten benched if you actually fouled someone.
Do something.
And then finally, Keldon Johnson of the Spurs in a loss to the Lakers. We have a naturally occurring 420.
Hey now.
Smoke him if you got him. A 4 for 20, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. So our 3 nominees, Spencer Dinwiddie, 3 for 18, 9 points, 10 assists. Zach LaVine, 1 for 14, 4 points, 5 rebounds. Keldon Johnson, 4 for 20, 12 points, 3 boards.
I am legally.
You are contractually obligated
to vote for the Blaze It 420. Blaze it, spliff it, pass it on the left-hand side.
So Spencer Dinwiddie, not really considered. I mean, 3 for 18 when you're going up against a 4 for 20 and a 1 for 14. Yes, you're off the hook.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine's is worse. It's objectively worse. So I'm going to go for Zach LaVine. Now, John has submitted his mail-in ballot, which Chuck, weirdly, you don't believe mail-in ballots should be counted. Despite serving in the armed forces, you think
I love democracy.
Mail-in ballots shouldn't be counted. It could be anyone mailing this in. No one knows who filled this out. But John's mail-in ballot is also for Zach LaVine and his 1 for 14. So democracy prevails.
Stop the steal. Stop the
democracy prevails once again. Congratulations, Zach LaVine, on winning this week's International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. Par fadeaway, Chuck. What are you looking forward to in the coming week? It is holiday week. It's World Cup week. But what are you looking forward to?
When can Dwayne Dedmon be traded? I just need I need a mix up on my Miami Heat. Nobody wants Duncan Robinson. It is all of the things that I thought we could do. Yeah, Duncan, he can shoot. Who forgets how to shoot? He was an all-time great shooter for 1 year.
Yep.
He's shooting 30% or something this year from 3. Just atrocious. So we don't have much, and I don't know what the Heat thing's going to look like, but we can hopefully in the new year trade some people and get a better team, because I don't like the Miami Heat right now.
Are you ready to trade Bam for Kevin Durant?
Oof. I love Bam, and I think there's like a real chance that he, in the right environment, flourishes to become a number 1 scoring option. I'm beginning to believe that might not be in Miami. Like I think he's a defensive player of the year candidate. And maybe that's me asking too much, that you get, like, I expect him to be 25 points a game and first team all NBA. So maybe I'm just like, it's my problem. It's expectations that I've set that are leading to disappointments.
By the way, I wish John Burr were here this episode too. Very similarly, I assume he would complain about Dylan Brooks having 31 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals and no turnovers. And John's like, that guy was got to get him off the team. Shoots too much.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like,
it's hard, man.
Bam is great, but then we're like, I need perfection on my team, I guess. And
I need.
And you're struggling, and when you expect it to be good, and right now the Heat are not good.
And Jimmy's knee doesn't look good. He's struggling. He might be hurt. He might play 40 games this year. So there's a lot that I'm like a lot of mixed emotions, and maybe staying put is what we need.
But you're still feeling good about all that money for Tyler Hero, alongside the money for Kyle Lowry.
He hasn't played in
alongside
7 games.
The money for Oladipo. Alongside
Kyle
the money.
Lowry had a triple-double. Like, he can play. He's just not going to do it every night.
When he played those 50 minutes, that was incredible. Or whatever he played.
He played 50 minutes at 100 years old, and he had a triple-double. So I don't blame Kyle Lowry. I'm not blaming anybody.
Maybe Duncan Robinson, maybe he'll circle back around, because Bertans, who very similarly robbed the Wizards when he signed that contract at the same summer as Robinson. He had like a bunch of threes the other game in the Mavericks loss. By the way, that Mavericks game, I believe it was Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, and Reggie Bullock scored 8 points in 80 total minutes, or 2 for 19. Incredible stuff. That's how you lose when Josh Green makes 6 3-pointers for you. My par fadeaway is don't look now, but the Clippers have got it together a little bit. But hyper specifically, like, it's fine that, we knew Norm Powell and Reggie Jackson weren't going to be the worst 2 players in the NBA the whole season. Both of them turned it around big time recently. But Kawhi Leonard's back. And what I'm looking for from Kawhi is, I want to know, is he just now like slower Boris Diaw? Is that just Kawhi's thing? Like 6 points, 5 boards, 4 assists? I love it. I love a Boris Diaw. One of my favorite NBA players. This is the exact prototype of guy I like. But like, the Clippers are winning. Kawhi is just being like, is it a shell of himself? What is it? I don't know what to call what he's doing. Muted.
I think he's clammed up because he's January Jones has been doing thirst traps for him on the internet. Have you seen this? She's posted on her Instagram story talking about.
I have not. I guess
Kawhi Leonard. And if January Jones was saying things about me, I don't know if I could behave. I don't know if I could actually do things in life if I knew that woman thought I was hot.
My wife came on the show and talked about Jimmy Butler, so I don't mind saying I wrote like a country song that was just about January Jones. It was just a fun game. Do you know how attractive you have to be to still be attractive playing that thankless character on Mad Men?
Right.
Like, one of the most ingratiating characters ever written. And still. Anyways, yeah, Kawhi, I'm like watching you. It's just, he's just kind of out there, just doing some stuff. Maybe he's the glue to the team. It's working out very well. Also looking ahead with the Clippers, winning some games. The West, 1 game separates the top 9 teams right now.
It's incredible. There's parity. We got parity. Boys.
Absolute parity. Did Adam Silver make backroom threats to the teams about tanking? Because everyone's trying hard. Everyone is trying hard. The sport is so good when everyone tries hard.
It is. It really is. It's the top of sports to me. Man, there's like so much that could happen. I mean, the East is similarly kind of bunched
at least
up.
There's like there seems to be some striations.
Stratification. Yes, there's Celtics, Bucks, Cavs, and then everybody else, but everybody else is still 2 games out of the Cavs, right? So like, it feels, I don't know, it feels like also the season is going to be long and it's going to be fun.
It's all going to come down to injury and COVID.
That's it.
Yeah. By the way, tonight we got Ben Simmons returning to the Sixers, and Embiid's not playing. So Melton, go get your triple double, buddy. Anyways, don't miss Grizzlies watch parties wherever you are in the Memphis area or in the Nashville area. They are presented by Michelob Ultra. You can go to grizzlies.com/watch party to find a watch party near you. Our next one in Nashville will be after Thanksgiving for a Pistons game on December 9th as the Grizzlies take on possibly Cade Cunningham, but likely not Cade Cunningham. Poor guy. Hope your shin heals up. Grizzlies, John Morant versus Killian Hayes. Coming to Noble's Beer Hall on December 9th. If you want to support our program, do that at patreon.com/fastbreak breakfast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing